Hi, Janet.
Hey, Giselle.
Welcome to our first podcast.
So excited.
We've been wanting to do this for a really long time. So, today we're going to talk about how we met because I think it's important for our listeners to kind of get a history about us,
Our love story.
our love story, my soulmate.
Yes.
Yes, you could have soulmates that are not your
Your
partner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your friends could be your soulmate.
Absolutely.
So, I met Janet how many years ago now? Over
Um,
20, we said 20 something, right?
yeah, I think it's her 20-year anniversary.
It's been a long time.
2003.
Yeah. So we met when we were in our 20s at this corporate interior design firm.
Mhm.
And
Which was one of the largest design firms in South Florida at that time.
yes, that's where we really learned everything about interior design at that point.
Yeah.
I call
It
it
was our boot camp.
boot camp. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was insane. It was
It
another
was, yeah,
another time, another way of working.
totally. I was fresh out of design school, so I was, getting my feet wet, started from the bottom, like doing, all the paperwork and, all the just minutia of design, the business side of design.
So you started as a coordinator, right?
Yeah.
So did I.
You were already there though.
I was.
Yeah.
So I started with that company when I was 21. I had just gotten married for my first marriage, first go around, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was introduced to interior design through this company, working as a coordinator, doing purchase orders, invoices,
Yeah.
keeping the interior designer in line. That's what they would tell us, right?
Yeah.
That we
Yeah.
had to kind of keep them in check.
Right. Which was the core really of a project
Yeah.
was, all the back end, the ordering, just the implementation. It's not just coming up with the design, but like what happens, how do you execute that? So that was like we were part of the execution of it.
So this is like 2003 when we had met. And just to give our audience an idea of what the work environment was back then, is if you came on time, you were considered coming in late. If you left on time, you were leaving early. So our work hours were insane. I remember
Yeah.
working till midnight, coming
Saturdays.
in Saturdays, coming in super early.
Eating lunch, there I don't eat lunch now either.
Yeah, but
still.
no, they catered. One of the nice things
Yes.
is they catered our lunch, but that's because they wanted to keep us indoors, so
Right.
we wouldn't leave anywhere. It's a very different work environment than what it's
It is
now,
now, yeah.
and what our
There
expectation.
was no mental health breaks.
No, absolutely not. But during that process, when we both worked there, we got to do coordination. We got to learn all the back end of the business.
Mhm. Yeah.
Fast forward to today, I've been in business for B&G with Brett for 17 years now.
Yeah.
I've been working with him 22 years,
Yeah.
and I've been working in this field for 28 years.
It's crazy.
It's insane how
Yeah.
time flies. And you
know.
have been working how long?
20 now in my career, but then 7 years with my own business
With JPID.
with JPID. And we also worked together. So we worked together at Fine, and then we worked together when you went off. You
On
and Brett
our
went
own.
off to start B&G.
So we wanted to go off on our own for many reasons. Now, I had been working with that company for a really long time,
Yeah.
and we opened up B&G in 2006. And part of the motivation of doing that is I was going through my divorce. I had 2 little kids. I had no idea about what work balance was being a mom.
We were going into a recession.
We're going into a recession.
So the business was the whole business was changing. It was
It
going
was.
through really, it was pivoting.
Our clients didn't want to be told where to purchase things. Like that company wanted us only, remember, to buy from only North Carolina companies.
Yeah.
They didn't want us to do so many custom built-ins or anything like that. And our clients weren't like that. They
Not
wanted.
only that, you know what, too?
Mm,
Google happened
yeah.
around that time.
Yep.
So remember, our clients were becoming more savvy,
Yep.
and they were realizing, wait a second, this is costing this. I'm searching it, the same piece of furniture, you're selling it for this. So that whole shift really, created the, okay, this is time to make a move.
Well, and also for me, that environment became very toxic.
Yeah,
Being with,
it's cutthroat.
it was cutthroat. There was a lot of women there. They were really, I mean, back then we didn't use the word bullying,
Yeah,
but I was, now looking back, I was totally bullied.
yeah,
And you were witness to
that
that.
was crazy.
You were witness to that. I think the more successful Brett and I became within that corporate company, the harder it became for me being so young.
Yeah.
And I guess starting getting a little bit of, I don't know, what do you call it? Being noticed about our work,
Right.
and kind of standing out. And it
Yeah.
became very difficult. And I remember thinking, I don't want to be that woman.
Right. It was already, I mean,
Yeah.
design is already very competitive, but that was
Yeah.
on another level.
It was another
That
level
was like
of bullying.
kind of haterish. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just be happy for another designer that's doing well, that's getting accolades, that's getting noticed for their work. You got to like hate them for it.
I think I was
You
so
know?
young, and it was easy to look at somebody that is cute, that is successful, and to
Right.
actually be happy for them. And they thought that I had some kind of shortcut or a leg up on everybody. They
Right.
didn't realize I've been working since I was 21. I did my time.
Right.
And while I was working full time at this corporate company, very corporate setting, I would go at night I did that for 3.5 years, to the Art Institute and go
Yeah.
to school at night from 6 to 11 o'clock.
I was doing that too.
You did that as well,
Shit
yeah.
was like painful.
It was insane.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a life for years.
Yeah.
It was just really a hard thing, but that,
But I was young. I didn't need to sleep. It was okay.
well, but
I did it like a champ.
I was married. So I was trying to
Oh,
balance
yeah.
being a good wife, being kind of that best of everything kind of Virgo mentality. And it definitely took its toll. Opening up B&G gave me the flexibility to now feel that I could be more involved with the kids' lives, because with having those hours were insane. And
How old were your kids when you opened B&G?
God, what were they, 3, 4, 5, 6, something
Really?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you still had to pick them up from school and stuff.
Yeah, you don't remember me running off at 2:30 to go
Yeah.
pick them up, drop them off at
And they'd
school.
be like, bitch, we're in the middle of
We're-
something.
we're in
Like,
the
we
middle.
gotta work.
I have to say, Brett was really amazing at like taking over when I needed to go be a mom. That whole concept of it takes a village.
Yeah.
It really did take a village to raise my kids, and being a business owner and a businesswoman and trying to figure out what that looked like. And I wanted it to be different than what we came from.
Right. Yeah. Our moms were working full time. We never saw them.
Exactly. Exactly. And you and I had the same situation where
Yeah.
we were really raised by our mothers
Single
only.
moms. both
Single
of them.
moms.
Actually, yeah, our backgrounds are very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the
Yeah.
daddy issues we
The
have.
daddy issues, single mom, older brother. You had 2 siblings, so
Yeah,
it's
2,
different.
yeah.
You were a middle child,
Middle
so you had your
child.
own set of shit.
Well, and then now my mom ended up having another child when I was
Right.
19. So
Yeah.
I have a younger sister
Yeah.
too. So there's
Right.
4 of us. But going through that whole process,
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest reasons we decided to do this podcast was because of all the struggles we went through. We
Right.
wish we had a Janet or a Giselle,
Right.
or somebody like what the friendship that we build, to be unfiltered, unapologetic about what we need to do to be good
Make
to
each
our
other better.
Yeah,
People,
and all the recommendations we always
we
do.
share.
We
'Cause
always
we've
share
always
everything. Always share.
from like cellulite treatment to like
Relationship
hair
advice
products to relationships,
to aging
shopping. I mean, everything.
to aging gracefully, and we've done our fair share of mistakes with that whole process too. having that kind of pressure.
Right.
But I think what we really want to bring to the table in these podcasts is some of the people that helped us and continue to help us through our journey. When you opened up your business, you had a coach, right?
Yeah, that's the first money I spent. I didn't pay myself the first 2 years. I said, you know what? Mistakes are more expensive than what I mean, a business coach, it wasn't cheap, but I'm like, I'd rather spend my profit than spend it, on a coach that's going to make me more profitable than spending that fixing mistakes
Exactly.
and not charging enough.
Yeah.
And undervaluing myself. So it was like coaching for mindset, but really building my business financially, like charging what you're worth. I mean, a lot of designers starting off, like, how do I even charge? Like, what do I charge? Like, what is it, like, this designer's charging this or that, the other. You have to, like, really value yourself and say, okay, I have X amount of experience. I have this much to bring to the table. I have this talent. I have so much to offer. This is what I'm worth, And I needed that because I was starting this little baby off by myself. I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't like where do I even start,
Yeah. It's crazy. You're reminding me about one of the first things that we started doing when we opened up B&G. We started doing research about marketing and branding.
Yeah.
I had no clue about marketing and branding and what we needed to do, but I was all about hiding actually what I look like. I wanted to be kind of behind the scenes because I feel like I was kind of like treated badly because I was so young and working. And it's so crazy that it took somebody, from a magazine to say, hey, you and Brett are good looking people. Right. You really should put the picture of yourself on your ads. And I was like, no, that's so
I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember that.
And
I remember your first photo shoot because you've had like a gazillion after that.
Gazillion.
The first one, yeah.
And what that taught me was the power of branding. And
absolutely.
The moment Brett and I put our photos, we were a brand versus just an interior design company. And I mean, times have changed and now we got social media, and which I love because I think it gives us the power of how we want to be seen.
You have to put yourself out there
exactly.
now. Like there's no if. It's you have to.
And I think that seeing a lot of the interior designers, the ones who continue to be successful, that came off from that corporate company and the ones that kind of got off the grid, the thing that I learned from that is we have to continue to learn and evolve. Our business is constantly changing. So I think in these podcasts, as much as we're going to be sharing kind of our secret sauce for our business and as women, Latin women,
right?
Latin women in Miami, because let's not kid ourselves, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I think there's around the country, there's not that
much competition in that space.
Exactly. Like or how we physically present ourselves, how we age. I mean, Miami is a different kind of animal, like kind of like how California is in New York. I mean, we all have, all these major cities have, I think, kind of its own dynamic. But part of what we're going to be sharing too is like we're going to be bringing these experts to help us learn along the way as well. Absolutely. And continue to evolve. And what's the best things for our companies, for us individually, and how that can look very different to you versus me.
Sure.
What I considered success could be different than what you consider success. For me, success has changed throughout the years. What does that really mean? Right. What does that really look like?
Yeah. Exactly.
For me, success now is all about peace, happiness.
It's just, for me, it's evolving.
Self-worth.
It's evolving, It's like you just continue. It's okay to go to your next stage in life, you know what I mean? And your next phase and your next goal, and it just keeps going. Will you ever reach the ultimate goal, do you think?
No.
Or are you going to keep building higher and higher for yourself?
I think we're always going to be building because it's that's the big thing that we do have in common is that the more we've gotten to know ourselves and continue to know ourselves, the more powerful we feel in our own skin.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
I've seen your evolution, you've seen my evolution, and it's been such an amazing journey and a freaking, like Brett always says, he's like, I'm hanging on for the ride. Giddy up, you know. It's been that kind of a ride.
Totally.
But I wouldn't have it any other way, because
Yeah.
I think the lows help you appreciate the highs. And now I have so many other businesses going on other than B&G. And what I've learned is, as much as I love doing so much things with Brett and my partner, I also have embraced and gone full circle for my relationship with women.
Yeah.
From being bullied, you know,
And not trusting them.
and not trusting and feeling like, oh my God, to now going full circle and coming across amazing women that empower me, who continue to teach me, that are rooting for each other, because they know that we're not each other's competition. You're only competing with yourself.
Exactly. You're your worst competition.
And in interior design, what I always say with interior design, when you're meeting a client, the interview goes both ways.
Absolutely.
At this stage of the game, I'm interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me. And it's not a cocky thing that I'm saying. It's not because of anything, but what I've learned throughout all my years of working with people, if you have that intuition that the client, you're not going to be able to help the client, they won't let you help them,
Right.
then it's not the right client for me or for you.
Right.
I think we have that same kind of mindset. We want clients that allow us to help them.
Right. And not only that, you have to vibe together.
You have to have a good connection.
What I mean? You have to vibe. This is like, it's like going into a relationship. Like,
It is.
we're going to be married. We're going to get divorced at the end or separate at the end. But this is a marriage, a partnership we're going into right now. Your
Absolutely.
project. And, there's going to be lows, highs, because you know how a project goes. Things, sometimes get a little crazy, and then they're beautiful, at the end. And so you have to be on that same kind of vibe as your client, and they have to respect you, which is, I think, number one. Trust you.
Absolutely.
Trust and respect is number one for client and designer relationship. Then once you feel that person, then you can say, okay, we can work together. I've said no to clients. I've turned down projects, even when I needed them the most.
Yeah.
Because I just know, for me, my sanity is priceless. It's worth more than I would make on this project. So it's okay if I'm not the right designer for you, and they may feel the same way about me, and that's totally fine. I mean,
I've referred clients to
other designers
to other designers
that doesn't work out for you.
Exactly. I think as women, as people in the interior design field, we need to support each other. We need to warn each other when you got that crazy trade taking everybody's money and running away with it. We need to protect ourselves.
Totally.
And I'm on different tracks with different groups of designers where I'm like, hey, this trade is really good. Use this trade.
Recommend each other.
Recommend them.
Absolutely.
Or be careful, this one is hurting us, and I don't want them to go through the same experience. And I think it's so important to have that sense of community and a sense of clear understanding that there are people like us that are out there that are wanting to share, that we're out there mentoring people, that we don't want them to be treated or to have the same experience that we did, that we want to have a sense of community.
Yeah, community. That's very important. I have my faves, the trades, and I love, meeting new ones, and once you find one, it's you're mine,
Same.
You want them to do well, you want to share them, but then you're like, no, I want to hoard you.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
so awesome,
Exactly.
But it's really important to have a good team. It's so important now, to have a good team behind you, because you make each other better, and they're an extension of what you want to build in your business. You know, the contractors, your staff. I mean, it's so important. It's like a family, you know?
I think there's so many moving parts in what we do, the
Yeah.
marketing, the branding.
Yeah.
You know, you have your staff and the dynamic between your staff as
Yeah.
well, which
Yeah.
is that's a whole like
Right.
episode on
Yeah.
its
On its own, yeah.
just talking about the
The
dynamic,
team
the
of building
team.
a team, a strong team, you know, like every player like plays such an important role.
And how it really takes a good team that vibe well together,
Yeah.
that complement each other well to make these projects come to life, and also for us to have the quality of life. Every day I want to come into my office and I want to smile.
Right.
Because
I want it to smell good. I want to hear the music.
Exactly.
You know? Right.
You know, it's setting up that.
You know, we work so hard, designers. I'm always on. Like I tell you, my best ideas come in the shower, and I'm not even kidding you. Like that's like the only time I have to like, wait a minute, and that's when I start blasting calls to like my project manager or you, or like, you know, my God, or you know, I have to do this, or I get on notes like right after my shower, and I start just putting everything that came to my head. But we're always on, whether we're on vacation, sleeping. I mean, all day, weekends. It's like
I think that's
no days off.
I think that's part of being a business owner.
Yeah,
is understanding like, you know, everybody wants to be a business owner, I think, but not everybody is ready or prepared for this responsibility that entails
a lot.
The financial responsibility, the emotional, you know, what it takes on you, being able to set up boundaries, you know, there's so many moving parts that it takes an amazing team that you have to curate that meshes well with you. I mean, that's part of, I think, the tips that we want to share is how we've navigated and continue to navigate through that.
I mean, there's still days that I'm like, it was so much easier working for someone else. I'm the toughest boss I've ever had.
Of course.
Oh my God, hands down.
Of course.
You know? And like, there's times that I'm like, why am I doing this again? I question it. But, you know, I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be. And that feels so good.
It is.
You know?
Do you have any regrets not opening up your business sooner?
No, because I trust in divine timing. I know that that's when I was ready. You know, I was ready at that moment. I think I had to go through, you know, everything that I went through to be at that place where I'm like, you know what, let's do this.
So
you know?
you worked for a closet company also for a while.
Yeah. So after B&G, I felt like I was already going towards the idea of starting my own thing, but I didn't have the confidence to be in front of clients. Like I remember with B&G, like Brett would like own the room, you know, at presentations, and I'd be sitting on them, and you'd be there too, but you'd always be like, he'd like, you know, take over, and he would like own the room. And I wanted to like learn that, because as women, we're not raised to be the loudest voice in the room or have the most opinions or, you know, come off so confident. We're always like trying to kind of like hide or minimize ourselves a little bit. Right? You know what that is.
Well,
you know? So I felt like I needed to tap into business mode, sales mode, because design is sales too. A lot of sales.
I say that to all our staff.
Totally.
All the time. I'm like, you could have the most great idea, but how are you going to sell it?
Right. How are you going to convince this person to spend this amount of money because this is the right thing to do?
Yep.
I do that every day now.
Yeah.
You know?
And that, I think working in that closet company helped you
California Closets, it was like, for me, that experience was everything that I needed, because I was on commission only. I had no sales experience when I started. It was design and sales. Okay. So I was designing, and who doesn't love a beautiful closet, right? So for me, I was like, oh, this is cute. And it's a great company too. It was very corporate. But talk about hustle. Woof. I was driving all over Miami, from like the Keys to Aventura. I mean, like And so they had like a bunch of designers. Some of them were, most of them were great. And I was seeing like 3, 4 leads a day, new clients. First of all, measuring. So I'm like, my measurements, girl, are on point. Like I never measure wrong. Why? Because you're measuring these like tight spaces, and you're going in there, and you're talking to them. You're asking them what their needs are. You're trying to build a rapport. Like I did this every single day for 6 years.
So you got,
And I was like one of the top. I ended up going from zero sales experience to like I was like had the highest, one of the highest closing ratios.
wow.
And I felt great. It was commission only, like I said. So I only got paid if I closed the deal. Talk about pressure. It's kind of like real estate,
But it got you ready for having your own business, because
Absolutely.
unless we work and bring home the bacon, there's no paying your staff, there's no paying your lease in your, office
Right.
space. There's none of that. There's
Yeah.
health insurance, everything that else that comes along, but that prepared you to have your own business.
Yeah. Also being very responsible with your finances too.
Exactly.
Because if you're not, and you gotta go, you gotta work, you gotta close these deals, you gotta make this like commission once a month, and then you control your spending, and that's when I started my business. I was like, forget paying myself. Like I wasn't even thinking about what would my salary be. I was like, as long as I'm making enough to pay what my expenses are, like the rest is going back into my business, because I need to pay for a nice website, photography, which is very expensive, my coach, like all those things, software programs, all these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great, I so glad I did that, the sales part, because gosh, like, and it just made me confident. Now I don't get nervous. When I speak to a new client or prospective client, I'm like, I tell them how it is. Like, this project, is going to cost you something like X amount. For me, it's easy to spit out those numbers. Like, this is a $500,000 job, or this is a $5 million job, or this is like, and 150
Yeah.
for your kitchen. And they're like, well, I only have 20 to spend. Well, you know what? You need to save. Wait until you have that. Because if you're going to, you have to do it right. If you're going to do it right.
So you got all that knowledge through experience.
Yeah.
I think part of what I'm going through right now is these students come out of college with, I think, a certain amount of expectation.
Yeah.
And what I think, you could go out of college to learn maybe the skill set that you need to actually practice, but where the real learning happens is
on the field.
It's in the field.
Yeah.
And part of what I think has made both of our careers so strong is the fact that I feel like we've done every job that we ask our staff to do. We've done coordination. We've done project manage.
We've gotten dirty.
We've gotten dirty.
Oof.
It is not a glamorous
Oh my
job.
God. Yeah, it's not glamorous whatsoever. The pictures might look glamorous, but
yeah, no. I mean, we're freaking cleaning people's homes when we're doing these deliveries. I mean, I'm so impatient that I'm like with a knife opening up all the boxes, helping the delivery guys, because I'm like,
we'll be there forever and a day.
We're going to be forever, and we have to accessorize and everything.
Yeah.
So I think learning all those steps along the way and having experience along the way was what has made us such strong business women.
Yeah.
I feel, because we understand what each position, what it entails.
Yeah.
And then we're able to really speak to our staff and be empathetic about what they're going through and help them maneuver the process and train them as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I think I think everybody's looking for a shortcut. And there are no shortcuts.
Yeah.
I think in order to be good at what we do, yes, I think there's specialties, like, Brett specializes in more of, certain things about the workload,
Right.
and I specialize in other things.
Yeah.
That whole divide and conquer thing really works for us.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been a journey from working with him from my 20s to now my 40s. It has definitely evolved. It went from starting off as his design assistant to eventually
His equal.
his partner, and then being a married couple. That's a different kind of evolution versus you've kind of been doing it on your own. I think having a husband that supports you,
Yeah.
you've had that.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely a salary that's not mixed.
I mean, like,
all our eggs are in one basket. Yours kind of
yeah,
helps to not have all your eggs in one basket. I feel.
absolutely. I always say, if it wasn't, like, tell my husband, like, I owe it to you, like, starting my business the
Yeah.
time that I did, because we got married. I was 39 years old. I waited because I wanted to had, everything in due time, right? Plus, I was having fun.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
My single life was fun.
Janet taught me how to be single for the short period of in between husbands. You were the one who taught me how to be single.
Aw.
It was so much.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, it was so much fun. It was I had the best laughs. Very educational on how to be single.
Oh my God. Successfully single, though.
Successfully single.
Yes. So, and we, like, in my head, so what do you do next? Like, what's next, right? You get married, you're finally, everything, like, is stabilizing in your life. Do I have a baby? Or do I start my business? Finally. And it was just kind of like, in my head, like, what do I do? Do I start a family, or do I do this that I've always wanted, or do I go this way, which is really not actually something that, I didn't feel to my soul like I did becoming a designer. Like, being a designer and having my business was more like connected to my soul than being a mom. So I said, you know what? Let's do this. I'm ready. And I started my business while I was with California Closets, like, little by little, like, at the end, towards the end. I was doing both.
I think you kind of have to. You kind of have to do that at the beginning, because it's like you need the funds to be able to open up your own business and to be able to get that up and running. You kind of have to do both for a while, and there is no vacation. There is no downtime when you're hustling that hard.
And he was super supportive. He's
that is
like,
so
babe,
important.
I'm here for you. Like, do your thing. Like, kill it. You're so, it's your time.
I never had kids with Brett, even though Brett helped me bring up our boys, from my prior marriage, which they're his. He's brought them up since they were so little. But I always say that B&G was like our baby. Yeah. And then the little babies are all the projects that we've designed together, that we've created together.
Aww,
they're like
so
a little babies. So I think that
it's a lot of babies.
That's a lot. I can't even tell you how many babies we've had, but we've plopped throughout our. Gosh.
Shit, how many projects have you guys worked on together? Forget the other firm, B&G.
I don't even know.
You have to figure out.
I don't know, because
it would be interesting to see.
I say there's times that we've done like a year. We've had 22 jobs going at the same time. 17. We've had it. It depends on the year and the economy,
right?
And where we're at.
Because that's another thing. Starting your business, going in. Our business, there's a lot of like ebbs and flows. Yeah. You'll have a great banging year, and then the next year will be like, because we're a luxury.
Yeah. We're dispensable.
We're dispensable. People, want to like save a little bit of money. Okay, maybe we don't need a designer. Maybe we do it ourselves, or maybe our contractor helps us with it.
Exactly.
We cut that out. Yeah. So you always have to prepare yourself for that. I just wanted to throw that in because,
Well, that's why I have, besides B&G, a couple side hustles going on too. Mm-hmm. Because I think we always have to think of our future, and as designers, it's either coming up with our own line of furniture, coming up with
Yeah,
licensing
licensing deal.
I think people books.
Yeah.
God, there's so many different realms,
Right.
and as we continue to evolve in the business, it's like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And what I've learned throughout the years, I thought I had such a plan in my 20s of how I thought my life was going to look like. But, you plan and God laughs.
Like,
But the best things that happened to me were unexpected. So, and including one of our next, business things that we're doing,
yeah.
and
Business
that's
venture.
Business Ventures is doing that, and now doing our podcast as well. I think it's always so good to find other ways.
Yeah.
It's always in the creative field,
Right.
but I think as creative people we need different outlets.
Absolutely. This is fun because this is kind of like, it's a hobby. It's something we're doing for fun.
We are.
But obviously, we get to share. I mean, look, we always wanted to do something, the two of us. Remember, that was the joke
Yeah.
when we were with when I was with B&G, it was like G and J, B&G,
Yeah,
J, or
exactly.
G&J.
I think
And
we've
Brett would
always,
be like, hell no. Like, you're not adding a J to this.
which is crazy because that was the mentality back then. And I have very few regrets because I think life is about the mistakes, the so-called mistakes. I call them so-called mistakes because I think it's just a process of learning. But one of the things that I do regret is having that kind of mentality at the beginning. It was always B&G, 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 and you want to build your own. And now you feel that sense of pride when you see your name on the door and having your
Yeah.
own office. But one of the things that I would do differently is I think interior design firms, when we find somebody that meshes really well, we should be like architectural design firms where it's like last name, and last name.
Like attorney firm.
Yeah, like attorney
law
firms.
Law firms. Yeah.
I think that if I could go back, I probably would have done that with you because after you left, I realized more the value
Yeah.
that you brought to the table.
Yeah.
Even though I'm so happy you have your own thing on your own, but I
Right.
think it's important to tell the people you love,
Yeah.
hey, I value you.
Right.
You were an amazing,
Yeah.
not
You're
a-
a rock star.
yeah, you're a rock star and you brought a lot to the table. And I never found anybody else like you in all the years that
I love when you say that.
I do. And I think that
Don't cry.
I know.
I see your eyes getting watery.
Well, there's very few people I think in our lives that touch you. And working in a field that is so stressful, I mean, it's beautiful. We love
Yeah,
it. We're
yeah.
so passionate about it. But to find those connections that you have with people, I don't take it for granted. And they're few and far between.
Right.
Because I think I've been so guarded because of my different experiences that I've only let a few people in. And the ones that you do let in and that you have a connection with and you value, I think it's really important to say, hey, I value you. I love you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I should have treated you better. I could have done it better. And not to make any excuses. And hey, we went through a couple of years we didn't see each other, and I wasn't at
Yeah, we went through a breakup.
we had a girl breakup.
We had a breakup.
And what's interesting from our relationship,
So you're like my ex.
my ex that came back, but through that evolution,
Yeah.
through that process, it did teach me to, number one, we never fought. I don't think we ever argued.
We never fought.
But that wasn't good either. We should have fought. We should have argued because
If anything, we always told each other like how it was. We were always real with each other.
Yeah.
That was the one thing,
yeah, we were.
Like
but,
I would tell you when you were wrong, or like if I didn't agree with something, and you would call me out too.
I think
That's so important. Like just
yeah, but until this day we do it even more. But what I learned from that experience, from our breakup, was that I needed to learn how to argue in a healthy way. And I didn't know what that looked like at the time because I came, as Latin people were very hot and fiery. I only knew super loving or fucking crazy. I didn't know how to
Like,
express myself or my feelings.
there's no balance.
Right, there was no
whatsoever.
balance. I hadn't learned at that point how to share my feelings in a way where I didn't think it was going to hurt you, or in a way that I thought it wasn't gonna end up in a, in a something that was going to be destructive. But instead, we broke up.
Yeah.
And some of the things that were really painful to me is to then find out you got married and I wasn't there at your wedding. So Janet,
But that hurt me as much as it hurt you. Like, I felt like you had to be like, there's like something, I tell you this all the time.
You have.
Like I wanted you there by my side, but
Yeah.
at that point it wasn't like the timing was off.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I have you here now.
Yeah, we reconnected and I think we're stronger than ever. But I think it's important
Totally.
to share our story because, I think when people see pretty pictures, because social media is so that way, we only want to share the pretty part. I think it's important to share the part that isn't so pretty, that is ugly, that was hard.
Right.
Because in order to make something great, you have to go through those hard times.
Sure.
And that
Totally.
I feel that in this era of self-love and self-improvement, everybody's like, well, it's all about me. It's what's good for me. Well, no, it takes a village.
It does.
You need people.
Absolutely.
You need girlfriends. You need partners.
Yeah.
You need your staff. You need your clients. You need to have good relationships.
And a good relationship with yourself.
Absolutely.
You got to love yourself. I mean,
Exactly.
we forget about that. Like, who's really important here? If you don't love yourself, then you can't do anything. You can't love anyone else, properly. And you can't, it's just so simple, but it's so, we complicate it.
Yeah. We still have so much to learn.
So much.
So much. And we're going to do it together.
We're going to do it together. And
all of us together.
All of us.
The BFFs. We're going to be unapologetic about bringing our happiness, our well-being, quality of life.
Yes.
That life that
that's so important.
I want to, on my deathbed, when I look back at my life, I want to say I loved big. I designed big. I have no regrets. Lived with passion.
Yeah.
Didn't let my insecurities, my fears, because I think we all have them, keep me from being the best version of myself. My perfectionism keep me from putting.
Let's not even go there.
From
That's
doing
a whole other hour.
All right, doing what we're doing now. Look how we overanalyze and we overthink because we want to bring our best foot forward. But I think some of the best moments is showing our vulnerability
and being authentic.
And
just being yourself.
The real talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bringing in the real talk, the real topics, bringing in those topics that are hard to talk about, but that they need to be had, from marriage to raising two men that are in college that are I can't believe I have two men. Alessandro is going to be 22 coming up in August. Max is going to be 21. And also the responsibility as a Latin mom that I have to bring in men that are loving, that listen to women, that treat them as their equal, that really bring something to the table, to our society, to our world, that improves our world.
Absolutely.
Especially coming from all my daddy issues. But I do have to say they've been a huge factor in understanding men. Bringing up two boys, two men, have helped me
understand men.
Yeah, I think I'm a lot kinder to men now.
That's interesting.
I am, absolutely, because I know men have insecurities like we do.
Just like we do, yeah.
Men have feelings. They go through all the same things we do. It just might look a little different because of the way they communicate, or the lack of communication,
right,
or the lack of expressing versus
Yeah.
us women, we're
Yeah.
we're very, very out there, but emotional. But
I wish I had like a switch I can turn off, like turn off the emotion. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, not that like I'm weepy emotional, but like, I have feelings, right? Like
Absolutely.
if something goes, or your feelings are like, oh my God, did I upset them? Or, did I like mess up or, do they not like me? Or, you think about like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like I want to like flip the switch sometimes. Like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to be assertive and like stick to the point and like, not give a shit what anybody thinks. But I do. I mean, we all do.
We all care. I mean, what we do is all about caring. We care so much about creating these lives that our clients, it changes their lives.
Yeah.
What we do, that's part of what we're going to be talking about, is the psychology of interior design, how healing interior design can be, and how we're maneuvering through all of it.
Yeah.
How we are learning, continuing to learn and evolve in our relationships with each other, our relationships with our clients. And I'm excited. I'm excited about this journey that we've embarked on, and we've wanted to bring this for so long. It's going to be interesting.
Can't wait for the next one.
Me too.
Love you.
Love you.